And welcome to this episode of PI Perspectives. Before we jump into the show, I wanted to welcome Nikki McKinnon-Marler from Delve Point back because we've got some new searches that we want to talk about. And we're going to do like a quick little segment and understand what's going on at Delve Point. So Nikki, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me back on the show.
Okay, you're on the clock. Go. Tell me about these new things.
Yeah, go quick. So we have 3 new searches that we just launched. Standard person search, standard relative search, and standard reverse phone search. All of these searches are $1 each. And this is just a quick, put your information in, get the information you need and go. You're not going to get a report. You're not going to get excess information. If you put in for the person search, you're going to get address, phone number, and email address. Put in for relative, you're going to get degrees of separation, the relative names. This is a really good one for alternate addresses, identifying additional sources, anything you need for relatives. And then the reverse phone search, that's really cool because you just take a phone number, you plug it in there, you get associated names, alternate phone numbers, email addresses. So it's just the quick information. It's none of the extra stuff that you may not need.
Awesome. And when is this stuff coming out?
It's out. It's out there right now. People can log in and run it right now. And we've got the free trial for PI Perspectives podcast members and viewers. So PIP for PI Perspectives 2021.
Okay. So PIP.
At delvepoint.com.
Right. PIP 2021 at delvepoint.com. I love that you guys are always doing new things and always pushing the envelope to make it an easier, easier way for the users to get what they need without with staying in their budget, I guess is good.
Right. Yeah. We try to do a lot of different options. So we have some things that are $20. We have some things that are like $1. We keep it, make sure that you can get the information you need with the budget that you have and meet your needs. We got some new stuff coming out in the next couple months too. So.
All right. Well, you just have to come back on again and tell me about it.
Anytime.
My co-host, Nikki McKinnon-Marler.
I love it.
It's fantastic.
Anytime.
Folks, if you are not using Delve Point, please get in touch with Nikki and give them a shout and find out what's new and what's going on in there. As you know, I always say you got to have multiple databases in your toolbox, and this is definitely one that I use more so and for more things than I thought I would ever use it. The Delve Point is quickly becoming my go-to. So thanks, Nikki, for coming on and bringing us up to date. Go to Delve Point. Give me the website one more time.
delvepoint.com, DELVEPOINT.com. Promo code is PIP 2021. And if you want to call us, you can do 866-945-1667.
Awesome. So there we go. All right, folks, Delve Point, go check it out. And let's jump into the show. Everyone enjoy the show.
PI Perspectives.
Today, I want to talk to you about the Investigator's Toolbox. Many of the folks who listen to this program actually have already signed up and have joined this online community for investigators and the investigative community. It's a place to go for networking. It's a place to go for continuing education, watching webinars, doing your continuing education credit. It's a place also to read up on the latest trends in the industry, stay on top of all the news articles. It's actually supported by some really, really great businesses that support our industry. They're offering discounts and benefits actually for your membership. And then the OSINT catalog. We got a huge OSINT catalog that you can make your own private library. You essentially pick and choose what you want to be in your library, however you do your research. Check it out today. It's www.investigators-toolbox.com. Listeners of the show, if you use the code PIP 201836, you'll save an extra 20%. Investigators-toolbox.com. Go check it out today.
PI Perspectives.
Welcome to PI Perspectives. Today is our special Valentines edition. We're talking dating apps. Not the appetizers you get at Fridays on a date, but actually online dating apps. Our guest today is Emmanuelle Welch. She has built a reputation as a go-to researcher for cracking these types of cases. Now let's jump right in with Emmanuelle Welch and your host, private investigator and part-time matchmaker, Matt Spaier.
And welcome everybody to this week's episode of PI Perspectives. Before we jump into the show, I wanted to take a moment of silence and just recognize some things that have happened in the news. Jack Palladino, a very well-known private investigator out in California, ended up getting mugged and subsequently died from his injuries. And we just want to acknowledge his career. Go do some research on who he was. Very, very amazing. And I also want to acknowledge Dan Afflin and Laura Schwarzenberger, two FBI agents who tragically lost their lives recently within the last day or so of us recording this episode, who made the ultimate sacrifice for children, basically doing a raid for child pornography. Unfortunately, they got involved in a gun battle and lost their lives. So I'd like to take a moment of silence before we bring our guest in and just acknowledge these three people that have passed away. Okay, so welcome to the episode today, and we are welcoming a good friend of mine, Emmanuelle Welch. I've known Emmanuelle for years and years and years. We're both based out of New York, and she is involved with the Society of Professional Investigators. She's currently holding the vice president position for them. Emmanuelle, I want to welcome you to the program. How are you?
Thank you, Matt. Thank you. I'm fine. Having a blast, just like all of us.
So good to see you virtually.
Yeah. Yeah, one day we'll go back to our meetings in person.
Yeah. So Society of Professional Investigators is a fantastic organization. I've been a member of SPI for, maybe 10 years. Basically, it's a group of investigators that get together once a month downtown at Forlini's restaurant, which is an old stomping ground for near the courthouses, and a lot of history, a lot of really cool people. How long have you been involved with SPI, Emmanuelle?
Since 2012, since I moved to Brooklyn, basically.
Right.
And it's a very old style organization because you meet in person. They value the networking in person. I like that, which doesn't prevent you from networking in cyberspace if you want, but I really like that. It's something that we're all missing right now.
Yeah, and I really appreciate SPI has been very intentional to continue meetings, even though we're not at Forlini's. Of all the associations that I'm a part of, and I'm a member of a lot of associations, as are you actually. SPI has been very good about, going back as early as like July or June from last year. We were having meetings virtually. It was really, really awesome to see everybody.
Yeah, the happy hour.
Yeah, Charlie's happy hour.
Yeah.
So that's good. So you've got a very interesting story how you got into investigations. You're originally a reporter, investigative journalist, right? And you're not originally from here, right? So tell me a little bit how that all happened. And
no, I'm not from here, as you've gathered.
Right.
I'm from France. I was born and raised in France, and that's where I lived until I was 22 when I moved to Hungary. And moved to the US later at the age of 25. And I don't know if my background is so original because more and more investigators and researchers and analysts are former reporters. But yeah, that explains the type of investigator I am. Like I don't fear giving a cold call or knocking on doors, or because I'm used to this as a reporter. I'm not afraid of archives, of the musty smell of archives and digging to courthouses. So that explains that. So research is a strong point, I would say, former law enforcement can be excellent at research as well. It's just that they're really good on the ground at surveillance, and which is not where I'm. This is not what I do most of the time.
Neither.
You have your crew doing that for you. So yeah.
Right. So that's really cool, and I really admire you because I feel like you have really found what you're good at, and you are quite good at it, and you built a career out of it. And today we're going to talk about dating apps because this is our Valentine's Day special. So I figured to have you come on and talk about doing those types of investigative work, the due diligence that go into finding out about, I guess, the people online, who they really are and what they're about. But we'll jump into a little bit of that later. I also want to talk about some of your accomplishments too. You've been published, right, in the Art of Investigation. You're one of the contributors for that, correct?
Yeah, I'm one of the contributors. I contributed a chapter on curiosity, being curious,
right,
and which involves a lot of continuing educations, learning, being curious, wanting to learn new techniques, being and the chapter explores also crowdsourcing, how a new generation of PIs are like Brian. You had Brian a few weeks ago, Brian Willigan. A new generation of PIs who believe in sharing information and not being so mysterious on purpose, and not pretend that PIs are magicians, and trying to work together, sometimes for the common good. And I like this effort and this spirit.
Yeah.
So.
No, I love like when I used to go, when we were allowed to go to did different events around the country, I'd show up somewhere and there's Emmanuelle. I was like, New York in the house. What's going on?
That's fun.
Tag team.
Yeah, no, conferences are great. I miss that. Just talking to people, learning. You learn so much from talking to people.
Yeah, I really
it's
that.
It's
and it's
really
nice having these virtual conferences, and there's some really good ones coming up within the next week or so. It's not the same, but still, we'll take it, right? We take what we can take.
It's been amazing. The opportunities are amazing. Like I'm doing the conference of the NCISS Institute. It's to be more technical for open source intelligence, and then the Florida Association of PIs they have their conference they make it free this year.
Yeah.
I mean, this is really the opportunity to attend as many conferences as you can.
Yep. And that's my FAPI, my FAP.
Yeah. FAPI.
You want to go and sign up for that. That one's free. So when this show airs, you'll got about a week or two to sign up for it. So it's going to be on the 17th, 18th, and 19th. But you'll see some details on that in the show notes. So yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of really cool stuff going on. I think one of the other things that's very impressive about your background is you made it to OSINT Curious as a guest. You were recently featured on their podcast, and to me that is like making it to the big time when it comes to technical stuff. So I was very impressed by your
okay. No, I was very honored. I have to say, I'm still honored.
Those guys
they're amazing.
Yeah,
that's what I was referring to, that spirit of sharing, giving information. And we've talked about doing a webinar on dating apps, and something I need to do is just a matter of time. Some people have a lot of time on their hands during this COVID era, and are productive. Some other people have a hard time to find a moment for anything.
Yeah, it's a tough balance, as your family dynamic changes, and you've got to make sure your family's taken care of and still earn a living at the same time.
Tell me about it.
So, sometimes we have to escape to get work done, right?
Where? Yeah. I'm in Chinatown right now in the studio at my friends, right. And that's the only way to be quiet for an hour.
Yeah. So it was really cool seeing you on OSINT Curious, because I know, like, being in the same room with those guys and being able to hang and talk with them technically, like, I don't know if I could do that.
They're very auspicious. They're nice, and a lot of them are European too. So it felt like I don't know. It was really cool vibe. And no, they're really amazing. It's a great group, OSINT Curious, yep. And they share, and they're very open about.
Well, that's the other thing too. They definitely share.
The openness is amazing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And if folks don't know what we're talking about, it's the OSINT Curious project. It's a webcast/podcast. Good stuff.
And they publish very good articles. It's technical, like you have great, and I don't know, half of them are Dutch, because the Dutch are the best at open source intelligence.
Why is that? I have no idea.
I don't know, something in the water. I don't know, the flat, I don't know. But they publish articles too. So if you don't have time to watch an entire webinar, articles about how to research Instagram. It keeps changing. Oh, Facebook has changed once again. What is new? How do you look for photos on Facebook now? Or, sometimes it's a bit more technical about using the developers tool in Google, Google Chrome or in Firefox.
Oh no, they're talking about coding and JSON and stuff like that. Like,
yeah.
There was something that today they put out. It was talking about the Facebook graph.
The Facebook graph, yeah. But you know what? We'll talk about it perhaps. But I think our profession is becoming more technical, and we're doing that. We have to learn.
You have to learn how to do coding.
Yeah. I'm doing that right now. I'm taking the automating OSINT course. It's a Python course, and also there's a master course to use Python code to in open source intelligence research, and it's a course designed by Justin Seitz, who's a cyber security expert, in Canada. Yes. Hunchly, which is an amazing tool to document your findings on the web, document them in a way that you can present them to courts.
Justin was a guest over the summer when we did the quick hits with Osmosis.
Yes. Okay. Yes, exactly.
Good guy, like Justin.
He's amazing. And same thing, amazing spirit of let's try to progress all together and share information. Really amazing.
And then you also did something with Pursuit Magazine recently too, right? Hal Humphreys had you on.
Yeah. I did an article about professional databases, proprietary databases that PIs use, and how to do open source intelligence with them, like how to start with a cell phone number, an email address from those databases, and then jump and expand and look for social media accounts.
Yeah, look at you. You got some heat. People want to talk to you. They want to know how to do all this.
I don't know, but and we do a lot more talking because we're at home, like doing our podcasts or our articles or. Yeah, so that's what we do. Stay in touch.
Yeah, and it was funny because I did want to have you on a while ago, and I have this rule that if you're on someone else's show, gotta wait like a month or so to have you on. So it's like every time I was getting ready to contact you, somebody would book you. I'm like, I got a bumper to the back. That's why I reached out to you a while ago. I'm like, Valentine's Day. I want you for Valentine's Day. We're gonna do something.
Yeah, Valentine's Day is around the corner. Do you have plans?
Yeah, I think I'll be home.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think I'm going anywhere, but it'll be all right. How'd you do with the snow? Did you get a lot of snow or no?
We got a lot of snow. Yeah, I don't know how many feet because I still don't know how to count in American units, but yeah, we got a lot of snow.
Right.
But
it's not meters. You're okay.
Something happened, so I'm excited.
Yeah, that's good. I got about 2 feet up where I am, so it's definitely a challenge. That's all good. So, what are some of the trends or things that you've noticed that have changed in the industry for you trying to get business done within the past year or so?
For trying to get business done, well, I noticed that everything is taking longer because everybody's trying to work from home, and we lose access to some security, double authentication, and people who can't access the secure databases. So everything is a bit slower, and also notice that business is not necessarily down. It's actually not bad, but there's less volume. Right. You mentioned that last week. I noticed the same, like more clients coming from everywhere. But it doesn't translate in more volume. It's like one-time clients sometimes.
Yep. And these are people that they're attorneys, so I would expect to get other work back. And I have a pretty good confidence that I will when they have work available. They just don't have work available. So
yeah, lots of insurance work because I do. I don't know about you, but when you're a sole proprietor like I am, so I contract with PIs when I need help, especially if I need help across the country with surveillance or research. And I have my own cases. People find me through my website or from media mentions, but I also get hired by large firms who need someone who's expert at social media research or to help them. Right. Because in-house they can't really do it, or they don't have the time or the resource. And so I do a lot of social media research for insurance cases, finding the accounts for, and I try to do it before they launch the surveillance, so that they try to
Right.
especially in New York, they go to the Bronx and they have this huge building and they don't know which guy is coming out, if it's their guy, and sometimes they get the wrong guy. So finding a picture, even one picture from WhatsApp or from WeChat, or really helps. Really helps them.
You never know.
Yeah.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but before COVID, you had a pretty extensive business with landlord-tenant work, right? You did a lot of that.
Yeah. And I still do, actually. It kind of tapered down not because of COVID necessarily, but because of the change in laws in New York City.
Right.
It's like a saga I don't want to get into, but after COVID, it kind of died down a bit, even more, because evictions were and they're still, and they still are. But most of the landlord and tenant work I do, it's usually doing a profile of the tenant they want to negotiate with. You have different aspects. You have the tenants who do illegal sublet. They organize an Airbnb in their apartment. Illegal businesses. There was a guy once I investigated in, I think it was in Soho. He had an illegal sex rehab in the loft that he was renting. So all the other tenants in the building were wondering who these people in the elevator were, and everybody was feeling a bit strange. But yeah, he was running an illegal sex rehab, and people from all over the world coming. So you research that, but you also have a lot of landlords who want to negotiate. They want to change a building, rebuild it, and they want the tenants out, and they want to see how much they can buy them out for. It's called a buyout. So you do research on the tenant to see, okay, this person is very litigious, this person is actually single, this person actually is in love with someone in Florida, and maybe if you offer them a little bit of money, they'd be so happy to leave. Right. You find a lot of information on social media mostly, so that the lawyers contacting the tenants have some information, know maybe how much they can offer, if it's going to be a difficult one, or if it's going to be what they can suggest.
Any kind of leverage helps, I guess, right?
So yeah, it's more like a financial psychological profile. A lot of psychology too. They try to, which type of person is that person? Is he the least? A recent case was this guy who used to be a DJ in the 80s in New York and was pretty big back then, but he's no longer big, but he thinks it's a huge deal. And for him, it's very important to stay in Manhattan, right. Because, he has his life here, except he's miserable because there's no clubs to go to. Nobody recognizes him. It's not, but they want to negotiate with him to see, so from the social media post, you could see that he still thinks it's a big deal. So it's good for the lawyer to know all that.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
The ego. Oh, that's very
interesting. And a big deal is also to do research on, do they own another place? Do they have somewhere else to go? Or they're really clinging to that rent-controlled apartment because they have nowhere else to go and they don't have the means to go anywhere else. So rent control, that's another thing.
It's a big deal in New York.
It's a big deal in San Francisco as well, but not as much. And there's also Santa Monica in LA. Yeah. But that's where it's so interesting. I love doing, OSINT, open source intelligence on the web, but also go to public records and do a mix. Like sometimes I'm hired to do, a firm would say, okay, we have 4 hours. Can you find things about this person if they are litigious, if they're accused of defamation on social media boards or on forums? And if I hit a wall after 2 hours, I spend the extra 2 hours. I tell them, hey, do you want me to do some research with the police, the local police where they live, to see if they have and they love it because I spend the time, I still do research, and sometimes I come back with things that help jumpstart my...
No, that's interesting, right? Having methodology that's maybe a little different, right? Something that's not your typical, you check off the regular boxes, but then you have other avenues that you can go, and you get those ideas from experience, right? And from training and from learning how to do different things and opening up opportunities for yourself with a different skill set, right?
Yeah, and I would say it's the privilege of age, I suppose, is that,
What are you talking about?
No, but we're really lucky to be I was really on the cusp. Like I started in this business when the technology, the internet was becoming this life-changing tool, and I still know how to do old-fashioned gumshoe work,
right?
Knocking on doors, asking, looking for records.
The dying art. It's a dying art. Knocking on doors and going to musty courtrooms and digging up files.
And also maybe the younger generation, they don't know if it pays off necessarily, and so we have the experience. We're like, it's worth knocking on that door, even if you think it's a 45 minutes subway ride, but it's worth trying, because in my experience, you always get something from the neighbors.
Amazing what you can get by talking to people. And I've always found, especially in New York, people want to insert themselves in the narrative. They want to be a part of it, so if they have information, it's like on the tip of their lips. They can't wait to tell somebody what they know, and you just got to know how to. You did a presentation in front of the ACFE in New York about how to find witnesses to accidents, and same thing, on Facebook. So you asked me about trends. What I found, I love Reddit. Searching Reddit, I really love that, and finding deleted posts. But Discord, that's a platform that is more difficult. Definitely. It's very difficult.
It's very difficult.
Guys were talking.
So the trends that I don't like too much, they're challenges, they can be exciting, but the trends that is like these platforms that are becoming more opaque, more difficult to get into, like Discord, and also mobile platforms like, dating apps. Mm-hmm. You can research them, on mobile. You can research them like the mobile app or the desktop.
Right.
But, if people meet people through, WeChat or some chat apps, it's all very, very contained, and that's really difficult. At least Tinder, you can research. You see what I mean? But if, on WeChat, like people can say, hey, I want to chat with people within 1 mile of where I'm standing right now. It's like, it's hard to research that.
Definitely. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back in, we're going to really start diving into all this stuff, and we'll talk about your experiences in doing that type of research, and maybe get some pointers on folks that are interested in doing that kind of work. So everybody sit tight, and we will be right back.
PI Perspectives.
Are you using a case management system? The answer is no. You should really rethink that process. Right. So as you guys know, Crosstracks has been an amazing sponsor of the show. They've just been really supportive. As you guys also know, I didn't used to have a case management system. I was the investigator that was fighting them tooth and nail. I finally decided to give it a whirl. What a great decision, right? During the COVID shutdown, I was able to actually roll my whole business into it and get completely up and running. And my clients love it. Just today, I got a phone call from a client of mine who just couldn't believe how easy it was to access everything, and how invoices were there. He actually asked me to go back and upload all my prior cases and put it into Crosstracks. I've been doing business with that firm for, about 8 years, so it's a lot of cases. Yeah, if you don't use a case management system, you should, right? You should check it out. Give Crosstracks a shot. Contact Brad or one of the teammates over there, and they'll get you up and running with a trial and see if it's for you. If you have used Crosstracks and it's been a while and you're not happy with the system that you're in, go check them out. They're doing a lot of really cool new things, and see if it's right for you. If you're unhappy with the system that you're in right now, contact them. The ability for them to roll your system into their system is very easy. Again, you guys know they've been sponsoring this program, and I can't say enough good things about them, but make your own decision, right? Give it a shot on your own and see if it's right for you.
Are you overwhelmed with your current caseload? Could you use some help with your skip trace assignments? With Merlin Locate Services, rather than adding staff, you can add an entire skip trace department of licensed private investigators who specialize in skip tracing. Check out merlinlocate.com today. When you work with Merlin Locate Services, you bring on a valuable experience and trusted extension to your team. Check out the PI Institute of Education at piinstitute.com. Since 1989, Kelly Riddle has been teaching on subjects such as surveillance, nursing home investigations, insurance fraud, domestic investigations, hidden assets, and accident scene investigations. The PI Institute of Education is a featured learning partner in the investigatorstoolbox.com. So check out the free content on the site, then visit the Institute for more great savings on additional classes. Don't forget to check out the NCISS Townhall meeting this Wednesday at 12 noon Central Time. Catch up on the latest happenings regarding data privacy and issues that are affecting our industry. Get more info at nciss.org. Have you heard about FAPI's free 3-day training seminar? Check out prior guests Michelle Stewart, John Hoda, and a great lineup of other speakers. Join over 600 investigators who have already registered at myfapi.org. Congrats to show guest Chris Salgado. Chris dons the latest cover of PI Magazine and highlights Cyberpol. The issue's available today.
Okay, welcome back to PI Perspectives. This is Matt Spaier, your host. We are here with Emmanuelle Welch. Emmanuelle, welcome back to the program.
Thank you.
Yeah, so great to have you here. We are talking about dating apps and doing some research, unconventional research, due diligence on folks that are predators on the internet. So,
Predators?
Predator or whatever.
Not necessarily. They're just trying to date people.
There you go. I don't know.
They're not necessarily predators.
Daughters, man. They're predators.
Yeah, they're the enemy for sure.
That's the dad in me talking. Let's take it back and let's before we jumped out, you were talking about being in the business for a while and seeing how things change and the trends and all this other stuff. So this type of work, how have you seen it change in the last year or so, and what do you think's coming down the pipe for the future?
What I really see is that it's becoming, to stay in the game, we have to become more technical for sure. A lot of tools, because of the generosity of a lot of people that we mentioned, like the OSINT Curious team, or they built tools like What's My Name app, I believe, APP, yep. Or tools like that do conduct searches that you need to know Python before to be able to do that.
Jake Krebs is another guy.
Jake is
this is impressive.
Yeah, impressive young man. They're really so people build tools for the community, and I really appreciate that, especially since whenever a trick or a tool becomes public, you know that your targets, that Facebook or Twitter will try to work on a patch or something to make sure that you can't investigate them as easily. So as soon as you become public with a tip or a trick, that it's endangered. So They could keep it for themselves and actually sharing because they want people to solve cases. And I really appreciate that. So I think we have to become more technical, maybe learn some coding or understand web pages more. I mean, if you do a lot of work on the web, which is my luck in a way, one of the best things I've ever done is I took a class in HTML when was it, 99? But it's still very useful because I always look at the code of a website or web page for extra information. So definitely more technical, more well-traveled or more world friendly. You don't need to know all these languages, but you need to know about differences in the world, which social media network is popular in China, in India, because if you have cases in New York that involve a lot of criminals from everywhere, every corner of the country, but people use different sites, have different habits, and so you need to be to open up definitely and be aware, even if you don't speak all these languages, but you need to recognize, which language is that? Oh, it's Armenian, okay, or it's
that's where the WeChats come in. I know you referenced that a few times. If folks don't know that is a China based social platform that is pretty popular.
Yeah, and we did a case not long ago with a Chinese a Mandarin-speaking investigator whom you know from Spaier, and I set up one of my burner phones for her with WeChat, and she created an account, and she managed to get a lot of information from fraudsters who were selling goods online, and so she did everything from the burner phone. So yeah, you have to be fluent in all of that and be ready, have the apps ready on your phone or on your desktop, the bookmarks. And
shout out to Serena.
Yes, okay, that's her name.
She takes a good,
yeah, she's amazing. yeah, she has so many talents.
Yeah, I have been known to use Serena every now and then for Mandarin speaking cases.
Yeah,
a really great resource. So, and that's one of the other benefits of Spaier, like I met Serena through Spaier, and, you meet people that along the way that could help you get your job done and help you succeed at what you're doing. So let's talk about methodology, right? So let's talk about someone calling you a client, potential client, saying, okay, here's the situation. Here's what I'm trying to figure out. I need you to handle this for me. How would you get started? What type of methodology do you use on these types of investigations to get started?
It depends. Like lately I had a case where the client said, okay, it was actually a firm, and they said, we have this client who needs to find a trace of is being sued by this woman, and he remembers that in 2006 she was on that site. Can you please find the ad that she had on that site? And that's how they met. It's like, really? Wow. So it's like archaeology, web archaeology. So you what you need to do is to warn the client that the chances are very low, but there's some workarounds, and we may find some information because at the end, what is he trying to show? He's trying to gather elements of proof to prove that his narrative is correct, that he's not lying. Yep. And so even if I don't find the ad from 2006 or 2007 on Craigslist, I will find maybe other things that will get me there to show that he was trying to prove that this person was organizing certain things back then. And
is that pre-Ashley Madison or
oh yeah, Ashley Madison. Oh my God, this was Ashley Madison is a gift that keeps on giving. Yeah, no, it was not the Ashley Madison thing, but yes, so depending on the case, you can start with, okay, I need to find a website from a certain, I need to narrow down a date on a website. So you use your techniques to try to do that with the Wayback Machine. Most of the time when it's an insurance case, I'm like, okay, we need to have a picture of this guy, and you see if he's, hopping around, is in Harlem or in the Bronx, if he's having a good time. And then, so you find with, basically, that's when I start with a research in our PI databases that are the databases that only PIs can use, and a few select professions, but we get access to the most information, and always get an email address and a cell phone, and the cell phone is the new social security number, as Cynthia says.
You're 100% right. Yep.
It's a lot of people don't change it over the years, and if you have someone with like 10 cell phone numbers in the past 3 years, like, okay, what's going on here? So it's
good boy phone and naughty boy phone, right?
Yeah, a lot of research, and then I run searches on the cell phone and for social media accounts, and then there's the methodology is like you use different tools like Python tools. Sites like What's My Name, Lampire, Spokio, and with your experience, the fortes for all of them. All of them are good at certain things. All of them bring back some false positives as well. Right. Social media accounts that don't exist, and people is also an amazing one. So you start with that, and then you build the story based on the social media. And that's where dating apps come as an extra source that I think is still overlooked by private investigators, and that are full of information, because we think that dating apps profiles are full of lies. People lie on everything to make themselves attractive, but actually they contain a lot of elements of truth.
Yeah, I'm sure there's partial truths and everything. You just got to figure it out, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. I don't know if you want to jump in, dating apps right now, but
yeah, sure. Why don't you tell me a little bit about?
No, what's the most surprising thing is that a lot of people use their real first name, and because they know they will trip if they use another name, they will trip with the person. It's not going to work. But basically, dating apps as I'm like a one-trick pony. It's like the one thing I do in a way because I'm asked about it all the time. But I spoke at Osmosis in 2017, I believe, about that. And back then I said, dating apps are great. Enjoy them while you can because they're going to become more difficult to use. And actually, you can still use them. It's more difficult, but it's also easier. Some things like Tinder is much easier to research now because they have the desktop application. And you can change your location, playing with the Google console, the Chrome developers tool. Sure. You change your location and you can travel and find a profile. The concept is still the same. People want to be found and they will have to give up some information about themselves to be found. Sure. They need to put a photo most of the time. They need to broadcast their location or say where they are. And usually that's when I use dating apps to locate people, to confirm that they live here and not here. And during COVID, it's been huge because where are people during COVID? A lot of people, gave up their apartments in New York. They moved to their parents. They moved to their second home, whatever. And so the dating apps are great because that's where you do a search, from the databases. You need to start with the PI database, right? From the databases that they're linked to this town, where the parents are, and maybe there where they may have a cottage and you run a search, you change the location and you find them there or there. Yeah. And it's great for process serving as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think process serving is a really good point. I was thinking that actually as you were talking about it, that's got to be a really good tool,
Yeah, we were looking for
arrange a meeting.
like in March, we were looking for that young man who was a student because we need to find him for a witness thing. Mm-hmm. And he nobody could find him. He was not in his dorm anymore because, of course, everybody had left. Right. And he was not at his parents. The parents were not very cooperative. And one relative said, I think he's at his sister. It's like, and then I looked him up. He has like 6 sisters, or forgot how many. It's like, oh no. So, but I ran him. I found where all the sisters lived, and the second sister. That's where he was. I found him on Tinder, and he was there. So you know where to find him.
Sure, and then you check the Venmo and you see if he's sending your money.
And Venmo, amazing. Right. Venmo, it's a bit like the dating apps. You would think that by now people would close their Venmos, and I've looked up politicians, people in the news, who they know, they're there in the Venmo.
That it's like there for anybody to see. I don't,
I love Venmo. Yeah.
It is what it is.
So dating apps are a great. I recommend if you do a search, you want to see where the person is, the state of mind they're in, because sometimes some profiles are really sad. Like they really tell you, "I hate my job. I can't wait to move to Arizona. I want some sun." So they give you a lot of information of what they want in life, and
it's a good way to really get a background or a sense of who you're dealing with. Absolutely.
Yeah, or if someone is even has suicidal thoughts, or is like, wow, this person is depressed, you have to be very careful and gentle, when lawyers are looking for witness or for, it gives some ideas. Yeah. I think people lie on profiles, but again, some things they say are more real than on LinkedIn or, once in a while I'm asked to look for an unfaithful partner. And that's when it doesn't really work because, married men, it's like the headless torso thing. You don't see the face. And if it's a lawyer hiring me, I'm not supposed to engage with the person. So without engaging with the person,
Yep.
so it's like, maybe you can, or you send the photos. Can you ask the spouse if they recognize any part of the anatomy,
Yep.
a tattoo or other things?
That's the
But
other
yeah.
about internet research is you definitely see things that you care not to see.
That you cannot unsee.
You cannot unsee some things. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very
but yeah, like dating profiles. Recently, I did some work on a teenage sort of runaway, and a cop who was in touch with that teenager said, I've seen that person on a dating app. He didn't say which one, but it was a good lead because I located the person on a dating app. I could see what they were trying to do and how they were involved in self-harm and looking for partners in games that could have been really dangerous.
Yeah.
So it was good for the relatives to know.
You got to be real careful too, because you can go down a rabbit hole on this stuff. I know, especially with like, Jake put something out recently for like OnlyFans, and he put like a disclaimer there. You can find usernames on OnlyFans, but don't spend too much time here because you
get distracted. OnlyFans. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I worked on a case with a partner in California. It was like this, like a spouse thinking that their ex is on OnlyFans, and so you're looking for every blonde with characteristics that a lot of performers on OnlyFans have. It's like your spouse looks like 80% of how much time do you want me to spend on this?
Yeah. It's definitely interesting, but you can go down a rabbit hole with this stuff, and you got to be careful. I remember way back in the day, like doing some Ashley Madison work, and it's like you got to like check yourself, man. Like, I got to go take a shower or wash my hands after this investigation because I feel.
Oh gosh.
So
yeah, Ashley Madison is still going strong. Surprisingly, I'm amazed.
Yeah, I remember years ago doing some research for somebody, and I typically don't do that work, but this was like one of my clients. It was kind of like a personal matter or whatever, and he asked me to do it. So I was like, all right, I'll take a look. And man, I was like not comfortable doing this. I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. This is not.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of constitution to deal with it, definitely.
Yeah. It's one. You asked me about trends or things that have changed in the past year. For me, I would say the accessibility of breach data. We're talking of the Ashley Madison leak has really changed a lot of things for me. Yeah. And it's, we can start an ethical discussion. Is it ethical or not? And if you work for an attorney, you can ask them, I may want to use information from breach data. Is it okay with you? But it's basically, it's open source intelligence, and I use it to find extra email addresses. Mm-hmm. And that's when you find that someone's email address is linked to an address, a physical address that we didn't know about.
That's supposed to have, right? Exactly.
So it can be anything, and you look at the source, which breach was that? So it was a ticket master. Okay, maybe the person was at Burning Man or nearby and having some ticket, FedEx to him, or it can be anything. So you research the type of breach, but it's great. Like if you see that someone appeared in different breaches for dating profiles, for Zeus or Ashley Madison, or it gives you a sense that this person is, in the habit of using dating apps, or at some point in their lives they were. Right. So when it's a case of, is my spouse, well, I can't find your spouse right now, but 5 years ago, their name, surfaced in several breaches. So, and you've been married for 15 years, so
yeah.
Yeah, so it's still helpful information.
Sure. Okay, so we're going to wind down over here. I really appreciate you coming on. This was a lot of fun, and I'm sure we could probably talk for another hour about this stuff. It is a topic that is incredibly interesting. How do folks get a hold of you if they have any questions?
Twitter. I think I put the handle on the screen here. I'm French PI, so you can always contact me on via Twitter. And on Twitter, I also have this a link to a repository of dating apps and a few tools to research those apps. I'd love to work on it, spend more time on it, but it's still a resource that you can use. And also, my website is frenchpi.com or frenchdetective.com, and you can write to me in French or in English, and and I'll do my best to get. Yeah, usually I get back to people, including students, or so I'm trying to do my best. But yeah, sometimes time is limited.
Appreciated that. So thank you so much, Emmanuelle. Thank you everybody for tuning in, guys. Have a safe Valentine's Day, and we appreciate everybody for tuning in. And go register for the FAPI conference. Go register for the NALI conference. There's again some good content coming up, and we appreciate everybody tuning in. And we'll catch you guys on the next show. Take care.
Thanks to Emmanuelle for joining us today to discuss this very unique research. You can tell it's a passion of hers, and she continues to push herself to learn more. Make sure you reach out to her if you have any questions. We also want to thank Crosstracks, Merlin Locate Services, Delve Point, and the PI Institute for Education for sponsoring the show. Make sure you check out Wednesday's webinar from NCISS, and please register for the FAPI conference next week. And as a reminder, don't forget to check out investigatorstoolbox.com. Remember, it only takes 49 cents a day to unlock the future of investigations. Make an investment in your business and yourself today. And use code PIP201836 to save an extra $20. If you have a question or comment about the show, email Matt at matthews@satellitepi.com. You can also find him on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. We'd like your feedback so we can bring you the best shows possible. We'll be back on Monday with a new show, so make sure you tune in, wear a mask, and stay safe out there.